he needed different help, and so it doesn't sound right. I'm sorry.
So we'll take a breath, and we'll take a break. Why did Gypsy and Martin end up behind bars after his wife's death? Both of them. We'll be right back.
Prosecutor Chad Grunander pointed to Gypsy Willis as the motive, saying their affair became more intense just a month before Michelle's death, and that McNeil had a, quote, cold and calculated plan to kill Michelle and bring Gypsy into the home under the guise of being the nanny.
Well, Gypsy Willis found herself at the center of a firestorm when the man she was having an affair with, a prominent doctor in Utah, was convicted of murdering his wife. Gypsy was called as a hostile witness in the case, and many say she not only tried to protect him on the stand, but that she was the real reason for Michelle McNeil's death. She finds that idea appalling as she looks at it now. You move in as a nanny,
Yes.
right? That was
the way I was portrayed to the family and neighborhood.
My dad called me on the phone and said, Alexis, I found the perfect nanny. Dad, Gypsy Jillian Willis, I know that woman. I know Mom was worried you were having an affair with her, and you're not to bring her into this home.
And how did he respond?
Oh, he got irate. He was screaming at me, saying, how dare you accuse me, you know, and hung up on me.
okay, and you and he, of course, knew that you were a lot more than a nanny.
Yes.
That you had a separate relationship with him. Did the kids suspect that there was more going on when you first moved in?
No, not when I first moved in. I have heard now that they have, or they did, perhaps, but
Okay.
not at the time.
Now, you actually wound up in trouble yourself, correct?
That's correct.
And you wound up in jail.
I did.
For how long?
It was about a year and a half,
About a year and a half?
I believe.
Okay, and you and Martin were arrested for identity theft, correct?
That's correct.
Now, this is after Michelle's death.
Yes.
Okay, tell me what happened. How did that all come about?
When Martin and I got together, I had significant debt. It was tax debt and education debt, some other things. He was concerned about adding me to the bank accounts under my information for fear that the money were seized for my debts. And so what I was told, I mean, this was temporarily until the house sold and my debts were paid, he wanted to add me just to give me access to the accounts under his daughter's Social Security number.
Okay, so he has a daughter named?
Giselle.
Giselle, okay. Now, Giselle is out of the country.
This is true.
And he says, okay, she's away, so he says, we'll just use her name and her Social Security number.
Yes. He said that as long as, you know, one, people wouldn't notice, two, we were just doing it to grant me access to the account, and there was no injury to Giselle. You know, there was no way anything bad would happen.
Okay, so let me get this right. This was basically to defraud the government out of taxes. He didn't want to say who you were if you were on an account, because they could then seize your account.
They could seize the account, and it wasn't to defraud them, it was to pay them when we had the money to do so. It was about $70,000.
So you had the money to do so in the account, or you wouldn't have worried about it being seized. You didn't want them to come get their $70,000 out of that account.
Right then. That's correct.
Okay. So this was to not let the government know that you now had access to money.
Yes. For a short time, that was.
And how is that not fraud? And I don't mean that in the legal sense, but you're hiding from the government that you have access to money that you owe them.
I see what you're saying.
I mean, is that, I'm just trying to simplify this so I understand.
Okay. He had the money in the account.
Right.
He did not feel that his finances could bear the burden of a $70,000 draw right then. And so, like I said, temporarily, this is the plan, temporarily until the house sold, debts were paid. It was to grant me access to the